إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما أما بعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها فإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Amma ba'du, my respected brothers and sisters, the elderly members of the front row, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this opportunity to appear here in this college, Federal College of Education in Gombe, on this day to talk about a topic that we think is of benefit to all of us. As you have heard from the people who made the MC, the people who spoke before me, and perhaps as you have seen in the banners, the topic that we're going to talk about is the Muslim Ummah and the challenge of quality education in Nigeria. I'm not going to make a very lengthy talk. I'm going to speak for about 45 to 50 minutes. But in this 45 to 50 minutes, I will attempt to address the topic as you can see it. If you look at the topic, it has three components. Firstly, and the most important key is quality education, the challenge of quality education. Then we have challenge of quality education to whom? The Muslim Ummah. Where in Nigeria? That's our scope and limitation. We are going to talk about quality education, not in general, to Muslim Ummah and in Nigeria. So we're going to speak about quality education to Muslims in Saudi Arabia or Indonesia, or quality of education in general. What I'm going to do in the next 45 minutes is that I'm going to make an introduction. This introduction is meant to give us an overview and background as to what quality education is. So by the time I finish my introduction, I'm hopeful that we will all understand what is quality education and what is quality education to Muslims and what is quality education to Muslims in Nigeria. What is required? What do we need? Where is the gap that we want to bridge? And also thereafter, after the introduction, I will identify some areas that we think we need to work harder on them. We need to work hard on them to make sure that we work towards the betterment of our Ummah, the betterment of Muslim Ummah in Nigeria. Then I will leave you with the rest. It's an open debate, it's an open discussion. It's something that I believe once we understand the introduction, we understand the concept of quality education we need, you can identify much more areas that I didn't talk about. My respected brothers and sisters, the phrase challenge of quality education or quality education itself is one of the most frequent hard phrases, not only in Nigeria but globally, especially from 2015 till date. You will hear frequently people talking about quality education. Now, reason to it being that it's part of sustainable development goals. Sustainable development goals are a set of goals that serve as a benchmark for every nation to ensure global prosperity, eradication of poverty, environmental protection, improvement or strengthening freedom across the globe. In other words, sustainable development goals. What is sustainable development goals? They are a set of challenges that are identified by experts. Some experts identify some set of challenges that they think they are facing this world and solution to it. How are we going to solve these challenges? When they make this suggestion, it was adopted by United Nations General Assembly. So United Nations adopted these Sustainable Development Goals, that these are the goals we want to achieve for the betterment of the world in general. And part of these problems are problem of quality education. Now, if you look at these problems that are called Sustainable Development Goals, these goals that the world over want to achieve everywhere, starting from the United States of America to Somalia to Kenya to everywhere, mostly they are the problems bedeviling developing countries. They are mostly problems bedeviling developing countries like poverty, unemployment, maternal and infant mortality, lack of quality education. But now, Sustainable Development Goal is a partnership between developed and developing countries. Why? Because if there is a problem anywhere, now we are living in a global village. If a part of it is rotting, then the decay and smell will reach the other part. So it is a partnership that everyone wants to make quality education, or in general want to achieve these Sustainable Development Goals before 2030. Now, what is all this talk about? Now we are talking about challenge of quality education. This expert identify lack of quality education as one of the problems that the whole world is facing everywhere. Therefore, we need solution to it. Now in Nigeria, coming back to Nigeria, we are in the eve of election year. 2023 will be election year. You will hear frequently from politicians, the gubernatorial aspirants and candidates, the presidential aspirants and candidates, that part of our agenda is that we're going to provide quality education. This is not only in 2023, we have had this in 2019, we had this in 2015. This is not only in the Fourth Republic, in the Third Republic, if you go back, if you listen to Abiola's campaign, part of his agenda is to provide quality education. If you go back to Second Republic, parts of the agendas of Shehu Shagari is that I will provide quality education. Why? Because quality education is key to life. It's key to success of any society. So that is why it is really important. It's something that is talked about in the whole world. This is not only in Nigeria. If you go to all developing countries, when they are campaigning, one of the most key issues that they are talking about is how to provide quality education. And not only developing world, even in the most developed countries, they talk about how to make their education more qualitative. Because the more educated you are, the more chances of surviving. The more educated you are, the more chances of becoming strong and stronger. Part of what made the strongest countries today the strongest is because of their education, is because of their quality of education. Now, as I said earlier, I've already said that the issue of quality education is a global one. That is why the United Nations adopted it. All member states of the United Nations have this in their mind, in their agendas, in their country, that we are going to make education qualitative. This is world over. Then if this is the case, what is this quality education that everyone is striving to get? So now, here comes the definition of quality education. I hope you are following me step by step. Now we understand the world over, everyone, the United Nations is craving for quality education. And before 2030, we need the world to get quality education. What is this quality education? Now there are a lot of debates among educators. I'm in College of Education. I don't want to indulge in what is not, I'm not a specialist in, on what is quality education. And it started from 2015. It started before 2015, but in 2015, after the United Nations ratified our Sustainable Development Goals. Now there are two top educators in the world, Association of Supervisors and Curriculum Development and Education International. They came together after a lengthy debate and discussion. They came up with definition of a quality education. I want you to listen to this. I'm going to tell you the definition of quality education that was debated, and the result that was given by Education International and the Association of Supervision and Curriculum Development. They said quality education is the one that focuses on a child as a whole. The social, emotional, mental, physical, and cognitive development of a child, of a student, regardless of his gender, race, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, or geographical location. It prepares the child for life, not only for testing. Follow me in this definition. It's something that focuses on a child as a whole. Non-quality education, it's what is looking for your betterment, for your development as a learner, as a student, as a whole, all aspect of your life, the social aspect, that when you come out from school, you will be able to interact with people, you'll be able to socialize with people, all your interaction, you identify yourself, you identify others, you know your needs, you know the needs of others. You are perfect, not perfect, you are very good in terms of your social living. Socially, emotionally also. You know your emotions, you know intellectually who you are. You know what are your limits. You know what are your strengths. Socially, emotionally, mentally. You are mentally sound, physically sound. And cognitive development, which is about intellect. If you have these five, then now you have quality education. Your education is qualitative. And they said it prepares a student for life, not only for testing. Meaning, if you score A in exam, that's what you score all the time, A. You graduate with distinction or is first class. But you are not able to face a challenge outside. You are not a quality, you didn't receive quality education. You are not quality graduate. Quality graduate is the one that is ready for life. He's really educated to face all challenges of life. In other words, if you are not employed by government and you become liability rather than asset, then you didn't receive a quality education. Quality education will make you to start thinking on how to stand independent of others, not to be liability to others. How are you going to become asset to your society? How are you going to become asset to your community? How are you going to help others? Not how are you going to go and start seeking for help. Not to be learned beggar. You know, we have learned beggars. He's learned, he's educated, but he's following from office to office, begging others for help. No. The one who receives quality education is the one who knows himself, who can interact with anyone, who can face any challenges, who can face any challenge, who can live in a society that he found himself and will be thinking on how can I develop the world? How can I give my contribution? Not at this point. Let me give you something. This is the training the Prophet ﷺ gave to his companions. That is why he gave them the most qualitative education. No one of them was ever looking for someone to help him. Each and every one of them was thinking on which way can I help the society. Arhamu ummati bi ummati Abu Bakr. If you are looking for the merciful ones, Abu Bakr has already specialized in that. Wa ashadduha fi dinillahi Umar. If you are looking for the strong people, Umar has already specialized in that. Wa ahyaha Uthman. Each aspect of life you come, the Prophet ﷺ had already produced graduates that are capable to face that challenge. That is what is called quality education. Let me give you another example in the life of the Prophet ﷺ. Now, these people I mentioned are famous. Even before the coming of Islam, Abu Bakr is who is he? Umar is who is he? Even the people that are not known in the society, when they were trained by the Prophet ﷺ, they receive quality education, they become qualitative people. It is reported in Sahih Bukhari, there was a woman, no one knows her name till today. She was not known. She didn't have any status in the society. A woman, black woman, a slave. Look at these three attributes. Even today in 2022, if you are black, your status in the world is not that very high. Women are competing with men, but they are in very low status with men, even globally, the United Nations, the United States, and everywhere. And she's a slave. Now nobody is a slave, everyone is free. She has all this derogatory status, but what happened to her? She was not like Abu Bakr. She's not wealthy to contribute her wealth. She was not like Umar or Ali radiallahu anhum. She was not that strong that she can go and participate in the battle. But she said, I will have to contribute my quota to the development of the society. And she started tidying the masjid. She started sweeping and tidying the masjid. One day she died, and it was in the night. The companions said that she's not a big status. Let's go and just bury her. We cannot wake up the Prophet from his sleeping. They buried her. Some days later, 2 days later, the Prophet ﷺ missed her. That's what came in the hadith. فَاشْتَاقَ إِلَيْهَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. The Prophet ﷺ missed her. What are you going to do that your society, your community will miss you after your death? After you leave this Farewell College of Education, what are you going to do while you are here? That when you will leave, people in the university, in the College of Education, will say that we miss so person because he was contributing to the society. This woman, when she died, the Prophet ﷺ 2 days later, some days later, he asked of her, and he was told that she died in the night, and we buried her. And he said, Halla adhantumuni, why didn't you wake me up? Why didn't you tell me? The person of this status, the person who is sweeping the masjid, who is contributing his quota to the development of society will die, and you didn't notify me? Dulluni ala qabriha. Go and show me her grave. The Prophet ﷺ went to the cemetery. He stood on her grave. He prayed upon her funeral prayer, and upon completion he said, Inna hadhihi al-qubur lamamlu'atun zulma, fa inna Allah nawwaraha alayhim bi salati alayha. He said, this graveyard is full of darkness, but by my prayer to her, Allah has lightened everything in the cemetery. Look at her contribution. Now the point I want you to take from this is, because she was educated under the Prophet ﷺ, she received qualitative education. That she was a woman, she was a slave. But she was black, but she was trying to see what contribution is she giving to society. Today, when someone is handicapped, when someone is destitute in the society, the only thing he will be thinking of is, how can I go and start begging? How can people help me? He will stand in the masjid and start telling his incapacities with the aim that people will help him. But if you receive a qualitative education, it will be in your mind that you are strong. Your strength will be in your mind that you will always want to contribute your quota to that society you are living in, just like this woman. So the definition of qualitative education is that education that gives you strength, that makes you as strong as facing the challenges that are out there waiting for you. Now, notwithstanding, we also have to take into cognizance that education is a cultural thing. Education is cultural activity. Each cultural society has their own system of education. For instance, now our needs, because education is meant to solve the needs and the problems of the society. So our needs are different from the needs of the United States. That's why our educational system is different from theirs. What you are going to be taught in Nigeria might be different from what you are going to be taught in the United Nations, in the United States, or in the United Kingdom, or in Dubai, or in Saudi Arabia. If you go to each country, they don't adopt the same curriculum. No, every nation has their different and independent curriculum of study. Why? Because they are going to look at what is our need, or what are our needs in this society, and we are going to shape our education in the way that will address our needs. That is why that's what is called National Policy on Education, and they are the one responsible for issuing curriculums and also determining what are the objectives. You are in COE, you know better than me, that in each, when you are teaching primary school pupils, there are objectives and targets that these people are supposed to know this and be this by the time they finish primary school. In secondary school, there are objectives. In tertiary institutions, there are objectives of learning, and these objectives are very peculiar to others. They are specifically for Nigerians. If you go to United States of America, if you go to Saudi Arabia, if you go to China, they have their different objectives. Why? Because it's different nation, different people, and different needs, and their education has to address. If you want to know this very clear, ask people who are going abroad to study professional courses, like those who are going to United States of America, those who are going to United Kingdom or Saudi Arabia or anywhere to study medicine. If they come back, they have to sit for council examination, which means that we have our own set rules and regulation. We have our own objectives. Maybe we have our own sickness that is not found in the United Kingdom. Therefore, if you come back here, you have to study that. If you study medicine here, no matter what grade you get after graduation, if you go to United Kingdom, if you go to UK to work, they will have to train you because they have their different objectives. Maybe there are different sicknesses. There is a treatment here that is meant for Nigerians in Nigeria that might not work in the United Kingdom. There is another treatment that is meant for the people, British people in their own country. country. So the objective, the qualitative education, is the education that looks into the challenges you have in the society with the aim of bridging the gap, with the aim of eradicating these problems. Now, having understood this, the next thing we are going to say is that let's go back to our topic. Our topic is Muslim Ummah and the challenge of quality education in Nigeria. So what we're going to look at now is, what is that education? What is quality education? That education that Muslim Ummah in Nigeria are in need of. Now we are specifically, so our topic is not about generally about quality education or generally about Nigeria. No, we have limitation. Muslim Ummah, me and you, people of Gombe, of Sokoto, of Kano, of Kaduna, what are the challenges they are facing and what type of education could solve their challenges? Now, as I said earlier, and I will keep on repeating, the importance of education is to address your challenge and solve it. If you are educated in this area, then you shall be able to find remedies for whatever problem and challenges that is coming up in that area. So from now onwards, you understand what is quality education. And now you start thinking of what are our needs, what are our peculiarities, things that are found in us only, the Muslim of Nigeria, and how are we going to prefer solution to them. Now, firstly, the first thing that we're going to talk about, what we need as qualitative education for our Muslim in Nigeria is combined education, the Islamic and conventional education together. That's what we need. If you have only one, your education is not qualitative to Muslims in Nigeria. If you have, let's take example, if you have only Islamic education, which is very important, which is the most important, which is what we need for life, which is what we need for survival, you don't have any certificate. You don't have knowledge about contemporary issues. You cannot be involved in decision making. And one decision making might encounter your 100 years of preaching. You might be preaching for 100 years to change something that you are not able to change. One decision by government can change it, which means you are incapacitated to make decision. Your knowledge might be good in praying, teaching people how to pray, which is very good. Teaching people Tawheed, which is the most important. Teaching people on how to get closer to your God, but your use in the contemporary society, how you can help your Ummah, it's not enough. So you need the Western education to add to your Islamic education so that you will be capacitated, you will be able to be part of decision-making body, to know the problem, the contemporary problem. Because if you don't know your contemporary time, no matter what you memorize of the previous text, it will just be applied to where you are taught it will be applied to. You cannot now move it to make an ijtihad to the contemporary society, because you need to know the contemporary society. That is prerequisite for making ijtihad. Now, on the other hand, if you flip it on the other side, you have only conventional education. That's the worst. If you have only conventional education, you are going to stand as counterproductive to Muslim Ummah. What they want to achieve, you will stand as a stumbling block. You will block the way to achieving what the Ummah wants to achieve. People, if you have, that is why Quran addressed this issue. If all you know is conventional education in your life, you don't know anything but physics. You are expert in physics, but you don't know anything about Islam. You know nothing about Islam. You are expert in chemistry. You are expert in geography. Quran calls you ignorant. You are illiterate. It's tantamount to knowing nothing. If you don't know anything about religion, all you focus, your name is Muhammad, Ahmad, your name is Jabir, your name is Abdullah, but all you know is physics. You are an expert in physics. You don't know anything about Islam. Quran says it's tantamount to knowing nothing. If someone is asked to bring ignorant people, illiterate people, when he sees you, you are in the forefront. Your name will be mentioned in the forefront. What Allah says in Surah Rum, وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. But the majority of people do not know. They are ignorant. Does that mean they don't know anything? No. The next verse, بَدَلْ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. What is that? يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ هُمْ غَافِلُونَ. You see, in Arabic, in Arabic grammar, that's what is called badal. Badal means substitute. You substitute something that is equal to something. Now when you say وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, the badal of it is in the next verse. يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا مِنَ الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. Despite the fact that they know the worldly affairs, Allah says majority of the people, most know is that he knows about here, the life of here, worldly affairs of this life. وَهُمْ عَنِ الْآخِرَةِ غَافِلُونَ. They are oblivious about hereafter. So once your education, once your knowledge is only about medicine, you are an expert doctor, but you know nothing about Quran, you know nothing about your Lord. Allah says, لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. يَعْلَمُونَ. You see, لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, but يَعْلَمُونَ. يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا. The substitute of لَا يَعْلَمُونَ is يَعْلَمُونَ ظَاهِرًا min al-hayat ad-dunya. They only know the worldly affairs of this life. So that is why you cannot fly. I tell you, the conventional and Islamic education are like two wings of a bird. It needs two wings to fly. If you want to help Ummah, you have to have these two knowledge. And you are not only staying there. You know, it's not only that you don't know anything. No. You are even a stumbling block. You are even a problem to our Ummah. Most of the most problem we are facing is that people that are only versed in Islam, in Western education, conventional education, that claim to be Muslim, they are in the forefront of attacking Islamic ideas because they don't know it. Al-insanu aduwwu ma jahil. A person is an enemy of what is ignorant of. If you don't know something, you're going to be ignorant of it. They try to interpret Islam with the actions of Muslim. Because why? They don't have the knowledge of the primary sources of Islam. They didn't know what Islam entails. So one of the greatest problems we have in the north now is people who are vast and versatile, or who think, some of them are not even vast and versatile, they just think they are in the conventional education, but they know nothing about Islam. And whenever an issue comes up, a Muslim would commit a mistake that 10 times of it, 20 times of it, 30 times of it is committed by non-Muslim, but they will spotlight the one that's committed by Muslim, especially if you have any Islamic knowledge, if you are a scholar, or if you are a preacher, or if you are a da'iyah. They will try to spotlight you to show people that you are a bad person for committing either a mistake that some other people committed 10, 20, 30 times it, or even something that is not even a mistake, is their misinterpretation of the event. So for we to have qualitative education in the Muslim Ummah, to have qualitative education in Nigeria, they need two educations simultaneously. When Allah mentioned the people he destroyed in Surah Al-Ankabut, the people he destroyed in the previous nations, they said they are all vast and versatile in conventional education. When Allah mentioned them, he mentioned many of them, then he said, وَآدًا وَثَمُودًا وَقَدْ تَبَيَّنَ لَكُم مِّن مَّسَاكِنِهِمْ وَزَيَّنَ لَهُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ أَعْمَالَهُمْ فَصَدَّهُمْ عَنِ السَّبِيلِ. Then what? وَكَانُوا مُسْتَبْصِرِينَ. They are all capable of reasoning. There are people who think, no, you know what we're supposed to do, you know, the system, the formula, وَكَانُوا مُسْتَبْصِرِينَ. They are vast and versatile, they are capable in reasoning. So they have what is today a conventional knowledge. They all think they know what they are doing. They are not ignorant. They are not people who didn't know their businesses or didn't know how to go about their administration. وَكَانُوا مُسْتَبْصِرِينَ. They were capable of reasoning. They think they knew what was right from what was wrong. But because they turned away from the light of revelation, then they were destroyed and they became history, and a very bad history. Therefore, I'm calling on all of us to try to understand this message and extend it to others. We need them to come in, and this is a responsibility mostly of people like teaching in high institution of learning like yours. Try to have ta'alimat in your masajid. These people that are coming to study, try to catch them as they are in the university. Let them study their conventional knowledge alongside with Islamic education, with Islamic knowledge. Let's have some days, like every day of the week there shall be a ta'lim in the masjid. Maybe on Mondays you have Quran, on Tuesdays you have hadith, you have tawheed, aqidah, you have everything you think you need. You have tafsir, you have fiqh. Try to help them. Try to bring them, because it's like a boat. When it sinks, everyone in there is going to sink. So we don't want to sink as ummah. We want part of us, ballighu anni walau ayah. Try to convey on my behalf even if it is a single verse. So upon you, the lecturers of higher institutions of learning across Muslim Nigeria, to make sure that you emphasize in teaching and extracurricular activities in teaching Islam to the people who are studying other education, who are specializing in other fields, so that together they will blend the two and they will become a very good people, a bird of two wings, a bird with two wings that he can fly to go anywhere he wants. So this is the first thing I identify as a great challenge to quality education. No matter how you think your education, your Western education, your conventional education, no matter how you think qualitative it is, if you are deprived of Islamic education, then you are deprived of quality. And the Ummah is missing you. You are even a liability rather than asset to Ummah. You are not an asset to Ummah. But when you have the two together, then you have what is meant by a quality education to Muslim Ummah. It is people like you that can stand up and say, this is what we want in our legislation. This is what is against our religion, and we think it's against humanity, and we think it's against justice. It is injustice. We want to change it. Why? Because you know what is right from what is wrong, and you have the ability, you are opportune to be part of this decision-making body. It is people like you that when given an opportunity to head a department, you will do what is expected to be right, what is expected to help Ummah, what is expected to help your brothers and sisters, because you already know the religion, you already have the knowledge, you already know what is good for the Ummah. Now this is on one side, the first thing we identified. The second problem we are facing in this country now, especially the Muslim populated zones, is insecurity. Now, quality education is an education that will focus on this security challenge we have and solve it. So we need an education from our upcoming stars to be educated in a way that we will be free of insecurity in this country. If you look at it, where is this insecurity bedeviling in this country? It is the most populated, Muslim populated zone. It is either Boko Haram in northeast or banditry in northwest. And these two zones have the most Muslim in this country. But we are facing this insecurity. What causes insecurity? Many factors, part of which is out of school children that we need to focus. The quality education is the one that carries everyone along. That is why, don't forget, sustainable development goals that are ratified by United Nations goes in to make sure that every nation is educated. Every nation has quality education. So what we shall do is to make sure that our brothers and sisters that are living in rural areas are educated. Everyone. Out of school children is one of the biggest problems facing this country and Muslim in this country in particular. Daily Trust published an article in January this year which says that the United Nations Education Fund, UNICEF, claimed that there are 10.5 million out-of-school children in Nigeria, and that's the highest rate in the world. Meaning in the whole world there is no country with out-of-school children like Nigeria. And it means that 1/3 of Nigerian children are out of school. In each 3 children in Nigeria, 2 are in school and 1 in school. It implies that out of each 5 out-of-school children in the world, 1 is Nigerian. If there are 5 out-of-school children in the whole world, 1 of them is Nigerian. If there are 3 children in Nigeria, 1 is out of school. And this problem is what? The problem is northern problems. If you look at the statistics, the states with highest out of school children in Nigeria are northern states. The top 10 are all northern states with the exception of Akwa Ibom. You will see on the list, you will see Kano, you will see Sokoto, you will see Bauchi, you will see Maiduguri, you will see Gombe, you will see all these our states. They top in out of school children. And these out of school children are the one mostly used by this bandit. You have never seen a bandit that is a graduate from university. You have never seen that. You have never seen a bandit that memorizes Quran. You have never seen that. Most of these guys are out of school children. And you know what happened? These out of school children, when they become bandits, they also stop the education. In 2021 last year, not fewer than 618 schools were closed, and all of them in the north. In 6 states of the north, not fewer than 618 schools were closed. In Kano, Kaduna, Katsina, Zamfara, Niger, and Yobe State. These 6 states had 618 schools, and more than 1,400 students were abducted. You see the vicious cycle: out of school children going to banditry, coming to add out of school children to figures. So we need to stand up and face this challenge. It is collective responsibility. This shall not be left to government alone. Every one of us shall do what he can. Everyone shall contribute his quota. All hands must be on deck to ensure that we face this problem and we tackle it. So it's not on government alone. If government cannot build enough schools, the private sector shall come in. If the private sector as a sector itself cannot individually, we are all private sector, individually, we shall try. Even if we cannot meet the standard, at least we shall work out of people work out of illiteracy. We shall make sure that people know their religion, and also they know the current affairs. They know what the world is. Go to villages and teach them religion, teach them worldly affairs. Otherwise, we're going to be in enormous danger. We need this. Out of school children is our own problem. That's why at this juncture we would like to appreciate the 9th National Assembly for bicameral legislation and amendment of Constitution to move the right to education from Chapter 2 to Chapter 4. Now as we are speaking, right to education is in Nigerian Constitution is in Chapter 2, meaning that it's not justiciable. It's not justiciable. What is the meaning of this? If you have an area in your village, if you have a village in your local government that has no primary school, it has no Islamia school, you cannot take your state governor to court, as the Constitution is now, because it's not part of fundamental human right. But with the current amendment that has passed the 2 houses, the House of Representatives as House of Senate, it has been moved to Chapter 4, which is about fundamental human rights. If now it is to state assemblies to ratify, if 25 out of 36 state assemblies ratify it, it becomes part of Constitution. So next year, if you have a remote village in your area that needs school and there is no school there, you can take your state governor to court, and court will enforce him to create school in that area, because that is fundamental human right. It's a right, it's not a privilege. It's something that must be done. We pray that this legislation will pass and it will be implemented successfully. But we need education. We need to educate our people. Out of school children are part of our problems that are causing this banditry and insecurity in the north, in the Muslim populated north. Another issue that will give us an example that I identify as one of the challenge, and we need quality education to it. Remember, quality education is that education that addresses the challenge and peculiarities of particular society. So we are talking about Muslim Ummah in Nigeria, and we are talking about our peculiarities. We are talking about our challenges. We are talking about the gap we need to bridge, and what can our education do to bridge that gap. Part of this is, let's take a health sector. As Muslims, we are supposed to be guided by Islam. If a female Muslim patient is taken to hospital, who is supposed to look after her to treat her? A female Muslim doctor. That's the only Islam. Unless if there is necessity. If there is necessity, we can go further. Lajnatu Da'ima lil Buhuth al Ilmiyyah wal Fatawa Shari'iyya, the permanent committee for issuing fatwa in Saudi Arabia, said that there are 4 categories of treating a female Muslim patient in hospital. And you cannot go to the next category unless if there is no first category. The first category is that a female Muslim patient shall be treated by a female Muslim doctor. Now, if there is no female Muslim doctor, now we are in a state of necessity. Then we go to the next. The next one is that female non-Muslim doctor. If there is no female non-Muslim doctor, then male Muslim doctor. If there is no male Muslim doctor, then male non-Muslim doctor. You see the categories, right? So you cannot skip the first category unless if there is necessity. Are we fulfilling this need in this country? Whenever you take your wife Aisha to hospital, will you find Maryam there to treat her? No, it's a great challenge. As Muslim Ummah, we are facing this. It's part of our religion that when we go to hospital, our wives shall be treated by a female Muslim doctor because her aura shall not be seen by anyone other than female Muslim doctor. Then in case of none, then we go to female non-Muslim doctor. So part of what will make our education qualitative is to produce female Muslim doctors, female Muslim health workers in general. We need them in abundance. And this is not the responsibility of government alone, or parents come in here. Instead of taking your daughters to go and study economics, why not study health-related courses? Economics is very important, and she might be needed in economics, but not as much as she will be needed in health sector. So we need to do that. Where our our NGOs also need to come in, sponsor those that cannot sponsor themselves. Where are our well-to-do individuals, our rich people? Come to your area. Part of the contribution I'm going to give to this Ummah is that I will sponsor female doctors. I will sponsor daughters of poor people to go and study health-related issues. And I will sponsor like 100 because I'm capable to do that. And that's my contribution to this Ummah, to make it qualitative Ummah. No, I cannot sponsor 100. I can sponsor 50 of them. I can sponsor 10 of them. I can sponsor only 2 or 1 of them. At least whatever contribution. Remember that woman that was keeping the masjid tidy? That was only the contribution she had. But the whole cemetery was lighting up because of her. So this is one of our peculiarities. This is one of our challenges. This is one of our problems. We need qualitative health workers, and we need to go and start sourcing them and start finding them wherever we can to make sure that we have qualitative Ummah. Skip to the next thing. In finance, we are also lacking. Look at the population of Muslims in this country and what are the banks that are offering non-interest banking. It is a crucial part of our life. Riba is haram. It's one of the fundamental harams. It's one of the kaba'ir. It's one of the biggest sins. Not only to take riba, but to interact with riba institutions. There are many fatwas from scholars not to work in riba-based institutions. It's part of your religion. Many verses in Surah Al-Baqarah will reveal about this issue of riba. But we are day in, day out interacting with it. We need an educational system that will give us qualitative graduates, that will also qualitative people in general that will be able to address this issue. How are we going to transact without riba? Look at the ratio of Muslims. Muslims today will brag that we are the majority. But when it comes to financial system, we have only 2 banks and other ones that offer some window, Islamic banking. Why not having 10, 20, 30 banks? Why not having many banks that will accommodate our needs? Now this is only in banking system. In other financial transactions, we need Muslims that are oriented, Muslims that will be Islamically oriented with conventional education, that will be there as representative of the needs of Ummah. How are you going to shape the policies? How are we going to partake in decision making to ensure that our Ummah have the qualitative education that will address the challenges we have, in this country. Now, all the verses of the Quran and ahadith of the Quran, ahadith of the Prophet that are mentioning the virtues of education, the virtues of seeking knowledge, it is open. It didn't say only Islamic education, but at the forefront, Islamic education comes. It's not rational that a person who does not pray, that the person who does not know who Allah is, that the person who does not know the attribute of Allah will be the person that angels will lay down their wings for him because he's going to study chemistry or physics. No, it's not. But when you study Islamic education, everything comes at a bonus. Everything comes at a bonus to that Islamic education. And when you study something, when Allah says, قُلْ هَلْ يَسْتَوِي الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ, how can you make equal those who know and those who don't know? Now, the issue of those who know is open. Allah did not say those who know Quran or those who know Hadith. Allah left it open. those who know what? Anything that is required to know. That is why Iqra, read. What are you going to read? Read in the name of your Lord. What you are going to read is so vast. Read whatever that is beneficial to you. But how? It will only be beneficial if you study Islam. If you didn't study Islam, that Iqra, that alladhina ya'lamuna is restricted to knowing Islam. First is at the forefront, then knowing whatever you think is beneficial will come as bonus. I believe by this now, you will be able to identify more and more areas that Muslim Ummah in this country is lacking, and the gap we need to bridge. Now, if we look talking of quality education, it's not the responsibility of government alone, as I said earlier. It is collective responsibility, the government, the parent, the well-to-do individuals in the society, and you student. How can you be of qualitative education? How can you receive a quality education if you, as I had in some institution, a person that is studying NCE is supposed to go for teaching practice, and he will go and bribe the school that's supposed to go and do the teaching practice, and they will certify him, they will give him license, they will approve that he was there while he was not there. What type of cheating are you doing to this ummah? You are cheating yourself, you are cheating the whole ummah, not only yourself, and also the person who is facilitating this, the school you are sent to do the teaching practice, they are also cheating themselves and cheating the ummah. This person will finish the NCE and he will end up the only product for you to employ as your school teacher. Look at how it is vicious cycle, how it is affecting you. If you didn't give quality education as a lecturer of College of Education to your pupils, there are some people that will end up the product that will be teaching your children in school. Look at how you are cheating yourself and you are cheating your ummah. The only thing we can do is each and every one of us to ensure that he fulfills his responsibilities. The task that is upon your shoulder, you have fulfilled it, you have done the best you can do to see that you contribute to this ummah. And the good thing about it is that if you are doing this with the intention of helping ummah, it is an act of ibadah. Ibadah in Islam is not restricted to only rituals, that when you enter the masjid and pray that you worship, when you fast in Ramadan you worship, that when you perform Hajj or Ummah you worship. No, it is general. Whatever that will make you to contribute to the ummah is an ibadah, is an act of worship. Ibn Taymiyyah says al-ibadatu ismun jami'un likulli ma yuhibbuhu Allah wa yardahu min al-aqwali wal a'mali al-zahirati wal batina. That ibadah is a comprehensive term. It's not limited to rituals. It's a comprehensive term. Ismun jami'un likulli ma yuhibbuhu Allah wa yardahu, for everything that Allah likes, Allah loves, and everything that pleases Allah. For you to be a capable teacher, for you to fulfill your responsibility, to fulfill that amana given to you, it's an act of ibadah. Your Jannah might be in your place of work, and your hellfire might be in your place of work. That is why there is strange fatwa, and a very good one, but it sounds somehow strange to many people, that Sheikh bin Baz gave, and this will be my closing remark. He said, if you cheat in exam only once, and you graduated and you get a certificate. Listen, if among you there are people who are cheating in exams, if among you there are people who are conniving with secondary and primary schools when you go for teaching practice to give you certificate, to give you clearance that you are cleared, you have served and you didn't serve. If there is among lecturers, listen to what Bin Baz said. He said, if you cheat in exam only once, maybe you cheat in exam, and you happen to graduate and find a certificate, but you once cheated, if you go and be employed with that certificate, the ratio of that exam that you cheated in the whole education you receive is the ratio of haram in your salary. So if you are supposed to sit for 20 exams before graduation, and in one exam you cheated, and your salary happens to be 20,000, 1,000 is haram throughout. Monthly you have 1,000 of haram salary in your account. So it is very bad. Inna Allah Ta'ala tayyibun la yaqbalu illa tayyib. Atib mat'amaka yustajab du'a'ak wa du'a'uk. So it is really cheating in examination malpractice is very bad. You know, in Saudi Arabia, they don't give a damn to English language. They don't give a damn to English language. One I could remember when I was in 200 level or 300 level, we were writing exams, and student, we were making a lot of noise in the class. And the supervisor came in, the invigilator came in, and he was like, listen, it's Tamiu, answer to. And students, we kept on making noise before the script was given. Then he said, no! That's all he said in English. He said, no! And when another invigilator came, he said, why are they making noise? He said, I even spoke to them in the language of devil to keep quiet, meaning English. When he said, no, that's the language of devil, he said, I even spoke to them. So in Saudi Arabia, they didn't give a damn to English language. Bin Baz was asked about examination malpractice. Is it haram? He said, yes, it is haram even in the subject of English language. That's even the worst at the bottom. Not even if you are studying hadith or Quran or Sharia. No. If the subject matter is English language and you cheat, it is haram. Even in the worst of the worst, that is English language. So please, Islam wants us to behave. Al-mu'min al-qawiyyu khayrun wa habbu ila Allah min mu'min al-dha'if wa fi kulli al-khayr. The Prophet ﷺ said the strong believer is more beloved and is better than the weak believer. To be a believer that doesn't cheat for a person to be a believer that doesn't cheat is better than to be a believer that cheats. The Prophet ﷺ said, Inna Allah katabal ihsana ala kulli shay. Allah wants perfection in everything. To make sure that you have a quality education, you study very well, not only to pass your examination, but also to impact in your society. Allah loves you for that. There was a time that companions, this hadith is reported by Imam al-Bayhaqi in Shu'ab al-Iman, and it's authenticated by Shaykh Nasruddin al-Albani. What happened is that the Prophet ﷺ was in the cemetery digging grave, and some companions are digging grave. Then the Prophet ﷺ told them that make it fine, make it look good, do this and do that. Hatta wanna nasu annahu sunnah. To the extent that people think it is sunnah when you are digging a graveyard to dig a very beautiful one. فَالْتَفَتَ إِلَيْهِمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم. Then the Prophet ﷺ turned to them and said, أَمَا إِنَّ هَذَا لَا يَنْفَعُ الْمَيِّتَ وَلَا يَضُرُّهُ. Beautifying the grave will not harm or benefit the dead person. لَكِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ مِنْ أَمَلِكُمْ إِذَا أَمِلَ أَمَلًا أَنْ يُتْقِنَهُ. But Allah loves from one of you that when you do a job, when you are tasked with something, you do the best of the best. If you are a tailor and you make a best of design, Allah loves that and will be rewarded for that. What if you're a teacher? What if you are learning, if you are a learner? What if you hold responsibility that will be more useful to Ummah than being a tailor? Whatever you do and you do it the best of what you can do, you're going to be rewarded for that. So let Islam work for us as Ummah. Not only when something happens, we have the largest number of people that sometimes will turn to be liability rather than assets. No, let's every one of us think on how it's going to become an asset, how we can contribute to the society, how we can do the best of what we are in. I know my specialization, I shall be the best of the best in that specialization. If you are Muslim, you perform your prayers, you know your Tawheed, and you do this. This is an act of worship. You will be rewarded because you are best in physics. You will be rewarded because you are best in chemistry. You will be rewarded because you are best in political science, on condition if you know your religion and you are doing it for the sake of Allah. I pray the Almighty Allah to reward all of you abundantly, and I thank those who invited me, the Dr. Garkua and our Professor Abdul Rashid. Professor Abdul Rashid is my elder brother, is my teacher, is my mentor. We studied in the same university, but he was 2 years ahead of me. Look, 2 years ahead of me, but today I'm senior lecturer, he's professor. There is 6 years interval because of his intelligence. If I'm lucky, that's if I'm lucky, there is 6 years interval. If I'm lucky, from there he became a professor, and he's a very humble person, and he's an epitome of patience. As you see him, a very humble person. I was once his roommate. In the room we were full, me, myself, him, and 2 Chinese people. But I was not able to endure it. When Chinese people cooked, the smell of their food drove me out of the hostel. I had to go and seek for relocation. I was given another hostel, but he endured it, mashallah. So he was able to endure the Chinese. He will be able to endure Nigeria, inshallah. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity. I wish all the best for all of you, and I thank you very much for listening to me. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.